From Eyewitness News, this is Newsmakers.
Providence was in a financial freefall when Angel Taveras was sworn into office in 2011. 4 years later, as Taveras nears his exit as mayor, his legacy may very well be he saved the city from bankruptcy. After an unsuccessful bid for governor, what's next for the 44-year-old, and will we see him again on the political stage? Our guest this week on Newsmakers, Providence Mayor Angel Taveras. Welcome to Newsmakers. I'm Tim White. To my right is my colleague from WPRI.com, Ted Nisi, and as you heard, our guest this week is Providence Mayor Angel Taveras, probably your last appearance on this program as mayor anyway on Newsmakers. Welcome back, and it's really good to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Before we, Ted and I, dive into policy and politics, we have a picture we want to share with everyone, the permission from you to use it, and congratulate you on your new addition. Sebastian Levi Taveras, who's seen there on the right, was born on December 2nd. That is older sister Farrah Rose on the left. I got to ask you, how's everyone doing?
Well, we're doing okay. I'm learning to function again without sleep, so that's a good thing. And Farrah Rose was very excited about the concept of a younger brother, but the reality has been a little bit different. But
right.
we'll get there. I think that other people have figured out a way to handle it, and hopefully we will do the same. But we're very happy, and I feel blessed.
In that picture, there was a tree in the background. Mayor, is that a Christmas tree or a holiday tree?
In my house, it's a Christmas tree, and we are slowly populating it with some presents. And I've also learned that my daughter knows what she wants and likes to tell us what she wants, but she's going to have to learn to live with less than everything she wants.
Is there a meaning or anything special behind the name Sebastian, or is it just a name that you like?
Well, actually, my daughter picked it. And
is that true?
It's from The Little Mermaid.
I was wondering.
So we're actually happy it's not Flounder, but it's Sebastian. And throughout the pregnancy, she called him Sebastian. And so we just said we'll make it easier for him and name him Sebastian, because that's what she's going to call him.
Well, Sebastian, 18 years from now when you hear this, let me just commiserate with you. My older brothers chose my name, and I think it was probably from watching Lassie. All right, we want to talk about Providence and your 4 years there at the helm, but let's touch on the governor's race and get that out of the way first. You lost to Gina Raimondo in the primary. What would you have done differently, if anything?
No, I don't think I would have done anything differently. I mean, it was a tough race. I congratulate her on her victory. I wish her nothing but the best, and as she prepares to lead the state, and we should all be wishing her the best. And so I wouldn't have done anything differently. I did the best that I could under difficult circumstances. It's not easy to be the mayor of a capital city and to make decisions that impact people, and at the same time be a candidate for higher office.
So you think the city dragged your chances down?
No, I think it's a tough job to be mayor and also to be a candidate, and I was focused on making sure to do whatever I could to leave the city stronger. Because that was my first responsibility, is to the people who elected me. So,
in retrospect, is there any party that thinks I should have skipped that and run for a second term as mayor?
None.
Not at all?
Not at all. And I talked with Dan McGowan about that yesterday. I wasn't going to run for a second term as mayor. So,
when did you decide that?
I decided that sometime probably in 2013. I know that because when I hired J.B. Porsche, I told him. And when I hired my pollster, I told him that too. So I wanted to make sure that they knew what they were getting into. I've never had a second thought about that. One of the things, I would have had second thoughts if I did not run. Mm-hmm. I believe that I would have had second thoughts if I did not run, but and wondered what would have happened. Now I know, and I'll move on. And I wish the governor-elect the very, very best.
What about Clay Pell? What do you think? If he weren't in the race, would you have been the Democratic nominee?
Oh no! Listen, I don't even think about that. As I told Dan yesterday, I said I'm grateful to Mr. Pell and his family. I was concerned that it was going to come out during the campaign that I received Pell Grants. So I'm glad that didn't make it into a commercial, because it is in fact the truth. So you can't worry about that. When I ran for mayor, I had a 3-person race or a 4-person race. So you run the race that develops. So no worries about that.
Have you spoken to Governor-elect Raimondo since she won? And do you have any advice for her as a sitting mayor of the capital city about what to do as governor to make push the state forward?
No, the governor-elect and I have spoken very briefly. She left a very nice message as well after the election. I saw her on the night of the election, and she's made a promise to me that I expect she'll keep.
Okay.
Well, you're not going to ask me what the promise is.
I want him to. He started to cut me
Sorry,
off.
go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
He's the host. I got to follow him. Yeah. Well, what did you ask?
I asked her for a picture with my daughter, and so she's going to do that, and she doesn't know this yet, but I'm going to ask her to sign it as well. So it'll be something I think.
Do you think you still have the pull though to get the governor elected?
I don't know, but she said she promised this in front of her mom, so I'm pretty sure that she will deliver on this, and I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be great for my daughter to have a picture with the first woman governor of the state of Rhode Island.
I got to ask you, people. I had people say this to me after they say, these people, they run hammer and tongs against each other months and months. And then we saw in September, October, you had an event with Gina Raimondo. You did an email telling people, no, you've got to vote for Gina Raimondo. Is it hard as a person, as a human being, to pivot from saying, do not elect this person, to saying, elect this person, I'm with this person now, we like this person?
It's democracy, right? And you run and you put out your ideas and you let people know why you want to lead, and then you have to respect the process and you have to respect the voters, and the voters made it very clear in my race. So it's democracy. And the second thing is, I said this and I meant it, and that is, I want to be able to tell my little girl that I had a small role in helping elect the first woman governor of the state of Rhode Island. And I feel very good about that. And so, I said that I would be supportive of the Democratic nominee, and that's exactly what I did. So I'm glad that I was able to do that, and certainly it's challenging, but it's about the process and it's about our state. I want to make sure our state succeeds, so I look forward to seeing that happen.
Let's pivot to your tenure as mayor. What accomplishment as mayor are you most proud of?
I don't know that there's any one accomplishment that I'm most proud of. I'm proud of several things. I'm proud of the fact that we were able to avoid bankruptcy. I believe then, and I believe now, that bankruptcy would have been devastating to the city of Providence and to the state of Rhode Island. So that's something I'm very proud of. I'm proud of the fact that so many people were part of that, from our laborers union to our teachers union to our police union, our firefighters union, all of our universities, our hospitals. The General Assembly helped us as well. So many people who came forward to be part of that. I'm proud of the fact that people are looking at us in terms of the work that we're doing on early childhood education, winning Bloomberg Philanthropy's Mayor's Challenge. 305 cities applied, and they picked Providence. 305 cities, and they picked us. So I feel very good about that, and I know that that's going to have an impact going forward. I'm proud of the fact, and Ted has gotten our map of all the streets that we're paving. And yes, we're going to get to Gano.
That's pretty bad.
That's right. But there's a lot of water.
Yeah, it actually wasn't your fault. I investigated that.
No, so I'll repeat that, okay? But I'm proud of the fact that we've paved more roads in the last 2 years than I think in the last 10 years combined. We've paved a distance that's longer than from here to Boston, and I think that's important. We've paved the worst ones first. So I feel very good.
Can I ask you about, you mentioned bankruptcy. We've talked about it a lot the last 4 years, and you seriously looked at it, I know, in your administration. Is there ever a point where you might advise a future mayor, whether it's Mayor-elect Delors or someone else, that is a terrible step that Providence should take to rip off the financial Band-Aid, clean up the city's finances, and move forward from there?
But see, here's the problem on that, Ted. Let's take Central Falls, for example, because it's very close. In Central Falls, they closed the rec center. You know that, you covered this. They closed the library. Now it's been reopened by private citizens, okay? They closed the library. They have, and you've seen the plan coming out of bankruptcy, the maximum tax increase allowed under the law, tax cap, 5 years, for 5 years. And that's after they cut pensions 55%. This is not a good solution. 5 years maximum tax increase, even after they cut pensions. You're not going to be able to just clear out. This is not like a personal bankruptcy where you come out, you have no debt, you start all new, and you can keep going. This is a reorganization, and it would be devastating. Could you imagine Providence closing all the rec centers, closing all the libraries, cutting our staff even further, and then imposing the maximum tax increase for 5 years? So I think that people need to realize this is not a personal bankruptcy where you can come in, you don't owe anyone any more money. and you can start anew. This is a reorganization, and I think that people need to look at that. It should be the absolute positive last option.
You know, Mayor, we have to go to a break, so you have to keep this answer brief. I apologize in advance. The flip side to my original question is, what is your biggest regret as mayor?
You know, my biggest regret as mayor is the car tax, and I can explain to you why the car tax and why I called that a regret. My first budget didn't touch the car tax. I compromised, and even when I compromised, I knew this was a problem. So it's kind of when you know you shouldn't do something and you do it, and then it comes back to bite you.
Yeah.
And that's why I regret it, because I knew at the time. You know, you make decisions based on information you have, and sometimes, you know, you look back and say, wow, you know, maybe I should have gone a different way. But when you know and you feel like you shouldn't have done something, you compromise, and then it comes back at you, that's a regret I have.
Our guest this week is Providence Mayor Angel Taveras. When we come back, we ask him, what's next? Stay with us. You're watching Newsmakers. Welcome back to Newsmakers. I'm Tim White, where we have more fun in the commercial break than the actual show. Our guest this week is Providence Mayor Angel Taveras, and to my right is WPRI.com reporter Ted Nesi. Ted?
As you know, Mayor, their city council estimates have come forward that the city could be facing a $24 million deficit. I've heard from some of your aides they do not think it's going to be that high. What do you think the city is facing for a deficit in its next budget, the first one under the new mayor?
Well, let me be clear about that, and that is that the city is facing at least $7 million, okay? And the $7 million is a result of an ordinance that was passed by the city council that I vetoed, and at the time I said so, that this was an issue.
The rent tax?
What they call, quote unquote, the rent tax. And I vetoed it at the time. I was opposed to the ordinance, and there is a $7 million hole that he will face next year. Now, with respect to the other amounts that they're talking about, the internal auditor, who's a fine man, Matt Clarkin, has made predictions before. And if you look back at what he predicted for the 2013 fiscal year, he predicted anywhere from, I think, $20 to $32 million hole for the city. We finished with a $1.6 million operating surplus, according to our independent auditor. Our audit for this year should be complete and should be out before the end of December, and that should show us in the black as well for fiscal year 14. Again, when he was predicting a big deficit, again, independent auditor. So, you know, he's made predictions in the past that have been incorrect. There is a $7 million problem. And I've let the mayor-elect know about that. I vetoed the ordinance. I try to make it clear to people because I want to make sure that he knows what he's coming into. But that was a problem that the city council created.
On this show, Mayor-elect Elorza promised no tax increases next year. Is that realistic?
Well, listen, I think that that's something that he's going to be the mayor come January 5th, and it's up to him to put together the budget and make the decisions that impact the budget. What I've done and what my team has done is to make sure to go through with his team line by line.
Let me ask you a different way. If you did stick around for a second term and you were going to be mayor again, could you promise the same thing?
Nice try, Tim. But as I said, I'm not going to be mayor for a second term. Mayor-elect Elorza will be mayor. I voted for him. You know, I supported him. I wish him nothing but success and the very best. And I'm making sure that he has all the information possible before taking office so that he can make those decisions going forward.
So you don't think we will have a March press conference from Mayor-elect Elorza that you left a huge problem that he didn't know about?
We should not have one. And if we do, I'll be happy to talk with you right afterwards to give you to explain.
We'll find you.
That's right. That's right.
I have a bigger picture question about being the mayor from your experience. We just saw the passing of former Boston Mayor Tom Menino. A lot of memories of him. People talked about the impact he had on the city over about 20 years or so as mayor. Providence mayors are now term limited. The maximum you could have served was one more term, right. 8 years. Do you think that's a problem? Do you think having term limits makes mayors less effective, or do you think it's okay?
No, I think it's a good thing. I really do. Because I think that the longer you serve in office, and I say this respectfully, and I love Tom Menino. I had seen him a couple of weeks before he passed away, and he had also advised me as a young mayor. The longer you serve, I think there's a disconnect sometimes with the public. I think that you can live in what they call a bubble. So I think it's good to have new and fresh blood come in, and new ideas and new people. So I think term limits, in my view, are a positive thing, and I don't mind that at all. And that's not to say, I mean, Mayor Menino was really exceptional. He's kind of in a separate class. But in Boston was lucky to have him, and we were, quite frankly, lucky to have him and be able to use him as a resource. But I think term limits are a positive thing.
In the wake of Ferguson in New York City, there have been protests nationwide, including here in Providence, and you remember, of course, one of them actually shut down Route 95. Overall, what is your assessment of the state of race relations between Providence police and the minority community right now?
Well, let me just say that I think that the Providence police and the state police have handled the protest very, very well. I know that we've had a handful of arrests, but I think they were absolutely necessary. And I'm proud of the fact that you did not see what happened in some other places, here, that it's been very peaceful. And I recall, I read that a protester was a little upset because he said the police were leading the protest. I read that in the paper. I thought that's important, especially given our history with Roger Williams and the dissent being so important here. I think that one of the reasons I pushed so much to have a diverse police academy class, and we have the most diverse class in the city's history, is because I think it's important that you have a police department that reflects the community. And we still have a ways to go, but we're moving in that direction. And I think that's important. I think the other thing is when you have community policing and you're in the community and you're involved and you have a lot of interaction with the community, you start to build trust. And like any relationship, you got to continue to work at it. So there's still more work to be done, and unarmed black men should not lose their lives during an encounter with the police. That just should not be happening. And when we see that happen in Ferguson, when we see that happen in Staten Island, that's a problem. And we all need to address that. That should not be happening.
The spotlight has been on the African American community because of what happened in Ferguson and because of what happened in New York City. What about the Hispanic community? Do they share the same concerns, or are there different issues?
No, I think that there are very similar issues and concerns, and that is we want to have a good, positive relationship with police officers. And in the Latino community, there's the same concerns as well. We want to make sure that they're positive, and we're proud of the fact that we've increased the number of Latino officers as well.
Is there distrust?
I think there is some distrust, but that's why you have community policing. That's why you constantly work on it. That's why it's important that you build on it and that you're honest and have good, honest dialogue about it. So I do think that there's some mistrust, but I also think that we have worked. I think there was more mistrust before. So I think we've worked to address that, and I give credit to the police department, to community leaders, to everyone who's working on this very difficult issue.
There's been some disappointment with some see the slow pace of the 195 land getting redeveloped. Do you share that disappointment at all? And what do you think is the holdup down there from your perch as mayor?
Well, I wouldn't say disappointment on my end. I'd say frustration in the sense of you want to get things moving. Anytime someone's looking for a job, you want to get them working. But the one thing that people need to understand about the 195 land is that there weren't utilities over there. There was no way to build over there until you have the utilities, the infrastructure put in. No streets, no sidewalks, none of that. So that's going to take some time. And certainly we've seen that happen now as if you go down there, you can see that, and streets are beginning to open up and connect neighborhoods. So that takes some time, and we're seeing that now we're beginning to get some interest in it. And I believe that we have an announcement coming up, groundbreaking for the nursing school at the South Street Power Station. I think that's going to be a catalyst for development in that area and on the 195 land. That's a $200 million project. And I think it's going to be a real positive for our state, and I think it's going to help the 195 land as well. But I understand the impatience, and I share that as well. But we need to remember we also have to build the foundation.
Have you talked to developers? Are there, I've talked sometimes on the other show, on Executive Suite, with folks, and they say, well, one problem is knowing the city's balance sheet. There are some concerns about coming in because what are taxes going to be and everything. Do you hear that when you talk to developers?
Well, I spoke to Richard Miller from Pegasus Group from the New York, New Jersey area, because he had been quoted in the paper about being concerned, and invited him up, and we've actually spoken, and I'm sure that he'll be meeting with the mayor-elect. We haven't been able to meet, unfortunately, because of some scheduling issues, but we have spoken, and I made it very clear to him that the city of Providence would love to have him here in the city, and that we would work with him previously to get everything set so that he could have the confidence to invest here. And we had a good conversation, and it was great because I think he appreciated the mayor calling him and letting him know that, and so certainly I know with him that was an issue, and so we're trying to build confidence there. But I would say something, Ted, just on that point, and that is, can you imagine trying to market that in a bankrupt city? They said, come on to Providence, spend hundreds of millions of dollars. We're in bankruptcy, or we just declared bankruptcy, but come on down. And I think it would be a lot more difficult. I think people would wait. You just give it a little bit of time, make sure that everything was okay to move on. So I think that what we're doing now, being named America's favorite city, being named America's best small city by Architectural Digest, all of the positive attention that we're getting is a good thing for our city and will help attract investment.
You told Dan McGowan from WPRI.com if there are some decisions that you look back on now and say didn't make political sense, now you know why, and that was in reference to you saying you weren't going to run for a second term as mayor. Give us an example of a decision that you made that did not make political sense.
Well, I think, look, if I had, it was not lost on me that if I wanted to get support from certain unions, perhaps I should be very generous in contract negotiations. And as you know, that was not the case with the teachers. We still don't, well, we had a contract, but they rejected it, and it was done after they endorsed one of my gubernatorial opponents. I would not do something that I thought was not in the best interest of the kids in the city of Providence.
Was it said to you by anyone in the union leadership that or is it more of a wink and a nod kind of thing?
No, it's just common sense, Ted, in that sense. But that's one example of something. There are other examples as well, and so you just my focus had to be on what was best for the city of Providence, and that's what I did.
I wanted to ask you about some news you made this week. Santander Bank, the city had sued them over potential problems with how they were giving out loans. I believe that suit has been put aside because of a settlement, and they're announcing a home loan program. So can you give us a thumbnail sketch? What is this program going to be?
Well, we're really excited about this because we really want to help people get into homes. And Santander wanted to be a partner with us after we sued them, and they've lived up.
You might want to be a partner with someone suing you.
No, but they've lived up to it. They lived up to it. First, they gave us $1.3 million. 500,000 of that is going to be grants for down payments or closing costs for people, for low and moderate income families who want to buy a home. Grants, so it will be a gift to them. That'll be administered through LISC. And the other thing that we're doing now is $24 million over the next 3 years for low and moderate income families to buy a home and to have a piece of the American dream. And so we're very excited about that, and I look forward to seeing that happen and know that there will be some families that will be enjoying home ownership because of the work that we've done.
What's next for Angel Taveras?
I'm taking a vacation. That's the first thing that
immediate future.
Where
are you going?
I am going to go someplace nice and warm and sunny,
okay.
And I'm going to let it, not worry about the snow.
All right.
So,
now, what about professionally?
Professionally, I'm looking forward to joining the private sector. I'm looking at some different opportunities in terms of the private sector, and I'm very excited about it.
Do you see yourself in a law firm or more in a company? Or?
Yeah, most likely a law firm. And,
you want to practice again?
Practice, but maybe a little bit differently in terms of what I do. And so I'm really excited about that, and I'm talking with some different law firms about doing that. And also I'll be involved in some other things in terms of education. That's very important to me. So, but I'm really looking forward to doing that, and I'm looking forward to being a dad.
Are you going to stay in Rhode Island?
We'll see. I would like to, but we'll see where the path leads me. But Rhode Island will always be my home, no matter where I am.
Could you ever see yourself running for public office again?
I don't know, and I say that because I have 2 kids, and I need to take care of them. And it was interesting. I think it was David Preston who said that Governor Sumner used to say, "You learn, you earn, and you serve." Well, I've learned and I've served, and I got a lot of earning to do.
So, 2 kids.
Exactly, and I want to make sure to be able to put them through college and provide for them, and as you know, I don't come from a wealthy family or anything, so it's up to me.
But you had one on the way when you decided to run for governor, so that answer works now, but it wouldn't have then.
Well, I think that this was the time for me. I thought this was the time for me to be able to serve, and I would have still been a young man when I left the governor's office. So I thought that so that was the right time in that sense, right?
You didn't have children when you became the mayor, and now you have 2 as you leave office. I don't
know how I found the time.
Yeah, we'll ask you off there. What did it change anything? Obviously, I know I'm not a father like you two, but I'm sure it changes you in many ways. But did it change how you approached your job as mayor, or what you thought about, or what your priorities were as mayor? Suddenly having a child for most of your term, and now two.
It changes everything. I mean, it changes the way that you look at the world. I've heard people say you will never sleep again fully, and the fear that you have as a child for your children. We're on the anniversary of Newtown, and it is. I remember that day. I remember going home. I remember hugging my little girl. Remember the feeling that you get. It changes everything. How you look at everything, from education, public safety, the economy, childcare, playgrounds, everything. So it really does. And it's also, though, my daughter and my son inspire me. They inspire me to do good, to do well, and to be a better person.
Mayor, we are out of time, but I did a quick count before we went to the show, and my count is right. This is your 12th appearance on Newsmakers, and I'm sure every single one's been bliss.
Yeah, well, it's much better than having you on the news exposing something about the city. So
you're going to do it tomorrow.
It's been a pleasure covering you, Mayor. Congratulations on the new edition, and thank you for watching. We'll see you next week on Newsmakers.